7 mistakes I've made so far. The worst 7 mistakes I've made so far, 4 years in the UK. And this is how to avoid them. All right, we're going to get right into this video. The link for this one will be in the description below. I'm getting this one from Solomon King. So go over and show him some love. So let's find out the worst 7 mistakes that Solomon made when he got to the UK and how we can avoid them. If you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to hit the like and hit the subscribe button. And let's see what this video is all about. Here we go right now.
Big mistake. I will never, ever buy a phone or any other gadgets on credit again.
Oh.
This is me about 4 years ago, stepping my foot into the UK with big dreams as big as Big Ben itself. I was so pumped with very high hopes that I was coming to a country where I can change the trajectory of my life for good. Well, spoiler alert, my expectations were way off track, but let's save that for another time.
Okay, now, interesting.
In this video, I will share with you 7 things I wish I never did as a new immigrant in the UK. And why you should be careful not to fall into this trap if you have just moved to a new country, not just the UK. Number 7 was the craziest of all. One of the things almost every new immigrant experiences is people giving you advice, both solicited and unsolicited advice. Everyone wants to give you advice on how the country is, what you can or cannot do, how you should live, blah, blah, blah. Please don't get me wrong. Receiving advice is not bad at all, especially as a person who has just entered a new country. I think for me, what I failed to do enough of was engage in my own in-depth research before taking people's advice, hook, line, and sinker. I relied too much on other people's advice without doing my own findings to understand the pros and cons in order to make informed decisions. That was a big mistake. The danger of not doing your own findings very well is that you could easily start seeing the country you've just entered from the lens of other people, even if they are wrong. Sometimes people tell you things like, the country is hard, there is racism everywhere, you must try to outsmart your colleagues, don't make any friends at work because everyone at work is a snitch. Or you start hearing things like, it is extremely difficult to be rich in this country, especially if you're in the UK. In fact, I think one of the worst things you probably hear is that everyone buys stuff on credit. So don't bother saving up or anything. Just get a credit card and you'll be fine. Because what's the point? If you're not going to be rich in this country anyway, live your best life. While there may be some elements of truth to this, it is not.
I know we just started, but I'm glad he said he took accountability that he did not do his research. And that is something that I realize people don't really do, and they complain at the end of the day. But like I said, he took accountability for his mistake that he did not do the research and just listen and you understand, to all different yappy in his ears and got the wrong impression or the wrong information through somebody else's lens. It's somebody else's experience or what somebody else is saying when moving to a new country. And that's what when he said it, I'm like, why didn't you do your research? That's the first thing you do. You're planning on moving, do your research, in-depth research. I'm not saying you can't listen to anybody, but to me, it's more better to listen to somebody that have been there, lived there, have a broad overview of what it is like to be there and have lived there and have experienced the country for a long period of time. Somebody who is also proud of where they're from too. They're more likely to steer you in the right direction than somebody who is just going on or just moved there and having difficulties. And some people don't want to see you strive to, and some people don't want you to be there, so they'll tell you every and anything. And here we have a platform like this where people are going in and telling a lot that you need to learn with their experience as they travel and what the mistakes they made. So yeah.
Not everyone's reality. It is not at all. Don't be deceived. And if you are so unfortunate enough to be surrounded by people who are not forward thinkers, people who only see the limitations in the country, then you might be setting yourself up for negativity. My point is, Do not let people's limitations be projected on you. Don't let their limitations be yours. Do your own research.
Yep.
I can't sing this enough. Do your own research before taking any advice as the gospel. The next trend for me as
I love that. I love that. Do not let other people limitation. I love what he said. Excuse me, guys. That right there is profound. Take it to the team. I'm on board with that.
New person 4 years ago was the credit card application frenzy. Again, this is why you should do your own research when you are here. Don't just take every advice out there. Now, if you are reckless with money, I'll tell you the truth right now. You will live a life of dependence on credit card. You're going to start buying things that you don't need and then start paying back from money you should have saved for investment. And by the time you finish paying it off, something else will come your way and you buy it, knowing fully well that you outrightly cannot afford the things you are buying. And that is how the cycle of credit card dependence continues. I have seen this happen over and over again. If I'm saying this, it's because I've been a victim of it. And looking back now, I can tell you that there were reckless decisions that I made that I would never advise anyone to try. And that's why I'm hoping that this video helps someone out there. And here's the thing. After like 1 year in the UK, many people ask themselves why they don't have any savings. Look, I don't have any problem with people getting credit cards only to use it as a means of improving their credit score towards making themselves better positions for long-term purchases like getting a mortgage on a property. But I think that most people moving into this country, for example, are introduced way too early to this reckless lifestyle of buying everything, both relevant and irrelevant things on credit. Build your credit wisely, but avoid unnecessary debt. The next thing I
always say this, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, who knows, but this is my opinion. I always think if somebody's going to build credit, do it with a secured credit card. So you can't go over your limit, period. You put down, you can't spend over what you put down. I really feel that that's the way to start out. But like for people here, it's the way, it's the norm. This is the way of life here in the US for people to have a credit card and get a credit card limit and I'm like, the unnecessary shopping is mind blowing. And that's the life that they know. So when move to another country, it's going to be the same thing for them. And I'm on board with that, with him as well. If it's not needed, don't put it on credit, because when it is needed, you don't have, and then you get into this cycle that you can't get out of. And people do spend money recklessly, and that is why so many people are in debt. It's just the truth. A lot of people. Okay, Mama? Okay, that's why so many people are in debt, guys. So that right there is a good advice. Don't spend if it is not. Don't put anything on credit if it is not necessary for the time being. And anything you put on credit in a short period, and make sure that you're able to pay it off, not over a long period of time, unless you're trying to get a house or something like that. But small purchases are you want to be in the latest style, or you want to do this, or you want to eat out, and you cannot fund that lifestyle. Don't do it.
I never did is throwing money on projects back in my home country without having any robust base in my current reality. I am not sure what I was thinking. This might be a point of debate for some people, but for me, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I believe it is better to build something solid where you are currently resident, especially if you plan on staying there for a long time. Come to think of it, I just moved into this country then. There was no plan to leave after a short period or anything like that. Even now, after over 3 years in this country, I am not planning to return to Nigeria. So why was I in a rush to make investments at home?
Guys, this is a biggie. There's so many people who are guilty for this one. And when I say guilty, majority of people that move here to the US, and it's not just to the US, like he said, UK, wherever, whichever country people move from their home country, I realize it's a big thing for people to invest. Okay, I got here, they're working 3-4 jobs. I'm not saying you can't send nothing back home and anything, but they're not establishing themselves where they are at the moment. They're taking care of things. Oh, let me buy a piece of land. Let me start building a house. Let me start to, with the intention of returning, but you have nothing going on for you where you're at. My opinion, and too, and I'm on board with him for that. Establish yourself where you are, because you're there for a long period of time. You understand, short-term goal, long-term goal, where you are. Let me get established. Let me get something going here for me. And then I can also make sure I take care. Because once you get established, you can take care of whatever you need to take care in your home country. But you're overextending yourself to take care of things in your home country when you're not even really taking care or investing or doing anything or establishing yourself where you're at. To me, that makes no sense. It's backwards.
Look, for me, considering the situation of the Naira against the pound sterling, I didn't think it was a wise decision. We all know that the Naira keeps fluctuating, and unfortunately, if you bought land like 5 years ago in Nigeria, it's possible that even if you sold it now, on the surface, it might look as though you made profit. But
yep.
With the new exchange rate now, I'm not sure it will benefit me here. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. Let's discuss a little bit about this. But mind you, we're talking about investments here. This is not about sending money to your family or friends back home.
That's a separate thing.
I think it's necessary that we build our future where we are. This next one, I must
I must pause for a second. That is a separate thing, like he said. We're not talking about helping out family members. That's a total separate thing. Investment, establishing something elsewhere while you're in another country. That's what I'm talking about. I like what he said. I'm on board with him because so much, I'm like telling millions of people are guilty for that one. And then they look back and say, why did I? You know?
First, it took me a while to admit to myself, and it is probably one of the worst decisions I ever made in my first year in the UK. And this was buying a car. The story behind this car thing goes like this. You know, I came into the UK during the summer, and the moment I experienced my first winter, that was when I vowed that I would never stay out in the cold again, waiting for the bus whenever I wanted to go out. I had never felt so cold and horrible in my life. So I decided that buying a car would rescue me from my misery. Wow. This may sound like a justifiable reason, right?
Wait until
you hear more. My house then was only a stone throw from the hospital where I work. I was literally living within the hospital environment. I lived there for about 3 years. So what I was actually using the buses for were things like going to church, buying groceries, visiting friends, and if they live far away, then I would, of course, use the train or use the coach. I was a single guy, for crying out loud. We have a great transport system in this city compared to some other places, of course. So you see that I could have easily endured the waiting times at the bus station or the train station. I even went further to convince myself that the reason I was buying the car was to use it and do agency shifts down the line so that I can earn some extra cash till date.
Wow.
I have not done a single shift outside my hospital. I mean, why would I? My hospital's bank shift rate was so good, and it's still good. Moreover, when I factored in the stress of traveling all over the place to do agency shifts, I personally didn't think it was worth it anyway. So essentially, the car I bought suddenly became a liability on my finances. Wow. I had to pay things like car insurance every month, fuel costs, road tax, yearly MOT test, and of course, yearly servicing and repair costs. Now, did I have fun with the car? Oh, yes, absolutely. It made a lot of movements very easy for me. I could go wherever I wanted without having to check the bus or train times. But at what cost? I know someone listening may be asking, but why didn't you just sell it? Well, quite a few reasons, two of which were the fact that I could have lost money on it had I sold it then for something I just bought. Secondly, the car was doing what I would call the Lord's work because it was helping me, to pick some people, going to church and coming back. It made it easy for myself and my colleagues in church. My point, though, is you should really critically evaluate whether you need a car or it's just a want. Because one thing I know is one of the first things that they put in your face in this country is the need for you to buy a car, even when you really don't need it. If your city has a good bus system, and this is true of most places, most cities in the UK, why do you want to buy a car? Especially when there are other more important assets you could use the money to invest in. Nothing wrong with wants, but make sure your wants do not cost you your future goal. Buying a car seemed logical to me to avoid the cold, but it became a financial burden. Now, the next thing I was...
Man, that's a biggie. Because your transportation system in the UK is top notch. From all the videos I've watched so far, you guys have a top notch transportation system. So I'm like, and based on what he said, where he was living, yeah, that's a big mistake right there. Because he was living so close to where he was working, there was no need for buying a car. He's spot on right there, guys. I have a cold. I'm not feeling 100, so sorry for how I'm sounding. But that is just, that was reckless spending on your part, Solomon. Reckless spending, I say. But I guess, and like you said, listen, if it's not a necessity, if there's not a need, there's no point in buying a car. And like I said before, I'm repeating myself, your transportation system in your transit is amazing. You have buses, you have trams, the taxis. You have it's easily accessible from point A to point B. You don't have to be stressing. I can't. This is not gonna work out. So there's no need for a car, and the expense that come with a car is a burden on your pocket. You're telling me dress accordingly for the weather so you can stay warm in the winter to get onto the bus. Dress light in the summer. Make sure you bring your umbrella, raincoat for the rainy season. That's just how I see it. Dress accordingly. And,
not proud of is buying the latest iPhone on credit. I don't know why the average immigrant, and permit me for lack of a better word, but I mean,
it is
an immigrant in this country. Yeah. I think that the average immigrant wants to change their phone as soon as they get into this country. And they're not changing it to buy the latest phone with cash. Like, it's not something that they already have money to afford. They'll rather use credit card or buy the phone from all these service providers, like I did. I also bought other gadgets on credit, but that was a big mistake. And till tomorrow, I will never, ever buy a phone or any other gadgets on credit again. You know how the saying goes, fool me once. You see, when these service providers give you these things on credit to repay over 24 months, they normally start with an amount that is so easy to pay that I refuse to pay close attention to. Even though I knew about it, is the fact that every April of each year, they increase your repayment in line with inflation and also in line with Bank of England's interest rates. Actually, the increase is normally above the inflation rate even. This is how I knew that these guys were not looking out for anybody's interest, but how to enrich themselves. Now, let's do a little bit of calculation. I bought my iPhone in 2021. This iPhone was released sometime in September 2021, and I got it in November of that same year. Now, if you count 24 months, which is usually the length of time that most of them allow because they are crooks, then you know that I was going to run into 2 April months before the end of my contract. Moo me. But of course, I just wanted the phone. Everyone around me had either an iPhone or the latest Samsung. And I mean, I could afford to pay the monthly payment. So why not? Anyways, let's do the maths. I paid 111 as initial deposit. Then I started paying £75 up until March of 2022. Then the price jumped to £82 every month for the next 12 months. Then in April of last year, which is 2023, my greatest Shock. The amount skyrocketed to £93 and stayed there until the end of my contract in October 2023.
So
Now,
they
if you
made
add
money.
everything up, it's
There you
amounting to
go.
over £2,000. Bro,
There you go.
how much was the phone if I had patiently saved and bought it with cash? But that's not the real question. The real question is, did I really need a new phone at that point in my life?
No.
A phone I couldn't afford? I will ask you the same question. Do you really need that latest phone you're about to buy, or that latest computer gadget you're about to buy on credit? Even if it's with cash, do you really need it, or it's just a want? Please learn from my mistake. Avoid unnecessary debt and think long term. Think long term. The next iPhone will come. I have iPhone 13 Pro Max. We have iPhone 15 now. And this year, probably iPhone 16 is coming out. Of course, if the reason you are buying the latest phone is to start something like maybe a YouTube channel and you want a phone that has a good camera, maybe you can justify it. But don't just buy things randomly because everyone else is doing it. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah. That's a big one. But that's the whole point of buying things on credit. They give you a certain amount of time that you should be able to pay it off. Okay, they say this is the promo, or interest free before 18 months. And after 18 months, if you ever see how that interest skyrocketed, you'll be losing your off your rockers. And that's what a lot of people just say, oh, I'll just put it in my credit card. Oh, I have 18 months to pay. Oh, and they give you the lowest payment. Oh, just pay $30 a month. For the next 18 months, you should be able. And when you do the calculation, you'll be thinking to yourself, this don't make sense. I'm not going to be able. If I pay $30, I'm not going to pay it off in 18 months. I can't pay it off in 18 months. That don't make no sense. But a lot of people do not look at it that way. If I do take anything on credit, I'm sorry. I don't pay the minimum payment. This month I pay $100. Next month I pay that. Because I will not, for the love of me, give nobody no extra money for nothing on a credit card. If you give me a time frame with no interest, I will take it. I have to look and say, okay, can I pay this off within that time frame? Do I need it? Because a lot of the time they come up with offer. And for me, I do not buy phones when they drop. I'm sorry, baby. I have a 14, and when I got it, I paid $700 and something for it. And they just came out with the 15 or whatever. I'm good, because a 14 gonna last me a long time. And the only reason why I got me a 14 is because my 6 has run its course. I got my 14 last year. And I had an iPhone 6 Plus for umpteen years, from 2016.
Which is mine now.
Dear Jude, which is mine now. And because they look at me and say, I'm sorry, but this phone is gonna give out on you. I've never broken my phone and nothing else wrong. I've never failed me, but then I realized there's no battery life left on it, and I start having a little glitch. I'm like, okay, let me get a new. That's how I get phones. I am not into the latest. And I do, all my YouTube videos were done on that phone, and I didn't say anything wrong with it. So I'm on board with him on that. If it's not a necessity, or if you don't need to put these gadgets on credit card, do not. Because when that interest come, oh baby, you're paying triple, double, flipple, dibble, double for that, anything you buy. If you know you're not going to pay it off before the time that the promotion ends. That's how they make their money. They're crooks. There's have to be a profit for them to give it to you that way. And I don't think people look into those things. They're like, oh, I want to keep up with the trend. I want to do this. And they're not thinking about their pocket at the end of the day. I know I'm yapping on this one, but that was a biggie. Let's continue.
Not focusing on saving for a house in my first year was a major thing I wish I did not do. Every time I think or talk about this, it makes me really sad. I mean, the point I talked about earlier about investing back home without a proper base where you are was the real reason I could never focus on saving up properly for a house here in this country. And bro, let me not lie, I had money. You know, when you're new to a country and you're a single guy, you can live as frugal as possible.
Yeah.
And you're earning good money. I wasn't wealthy, that's not what I'm saying, but I had money.
You were comfortable.
I could have diligently saved. If I had saved for 2 years from the day I entered the UK, I would have had enough to buy something reasonable, because house prices then were not as high as what we have now in 2024. So perhaps I would have bought my own apartment like 2 years ago, which would be appreciating by now. You know, during the COVID period, when health workers were allowed to work as many hours as they wanted without restriction, right? I was working back to back on some weeks. If I knew better and followed through with a proper savings plan, I'm sure by now I would probably be thinking of buying a house that I will rent out to people, which I guess
income
makes
right
me
there.
what you call a landlord.
Yep.
Think long term, bro. And finally,
man, these are some gems that he's dropping, and this goes on not just for people going to the UK, just whichever country you go to and that you decide to relocate to. These are gems that you need to have, because it is the truth. What he's saying is no joke. If you go somewhere and say you're leaving from your country to one and you have a little money on you, or you go there, you have a job, a stable job that is giving you more, save towards something because like he said, if I had planned this out correctly and not try to invest in something back home, he could have gotten to the point where he could have been a landlord, having something coming in, more a cash flow coming into him, where maybe he could be buying his second house. You understand me? So it all boils down to what you want to at the end of the day. Where do you see yourself going? What investments you should make, and not rely on I want this now, and this careless spending. And a lot of us do not. A lot of people do not think on that level. And that's just the truth. And these are major mistakes for anywhere, America, to whichever country you go to. These are major mistakes made by millions of people.
Being too loud. When you grow up in an environment where the only set of people who are deemed fit to own an iPhone or anything Apple are supposed to be fraudsters or corrupt politicians, then you can imagine the feeling when you find yourself in a different place where high-end phones are not really a luxury. It's what everybody has access to.
Yeah.
I find that the average working class new immigrant in this country, in this UK, wants to change their phone to whatever the latest gadget is. Not necessarily because they need it, but because they want it to speak volume to people they left back home. I mean, how about the designer clothes that you could only find on people who were considered to be rich back home? But now you're in the UK, you're in a place where you can do buy now, pay later, and where you can actually pick shifts at work for the sole purpose of impressing people and impressing friends and family on Instagram. You create the illusion that you have made it.
Yep, ridiculous.
Wow. And then suddenly everyone believes that you must be rich now. Then when they ask for some assistance and you can't help, it becomes a ridiculous irony. Like, how can you not have? You must be very stingy if you have all these gadgets and you show off these designer clothes online, and you even already have a car within 6 months to 1 year in the UK, but you can't assist with just 50,000 naira. Now you see how quickly 50,000 naira can become ordinary 50,000 naira when it is associated with you. But you and I know that you are trying to get on your feet in this new country. Maybe, just maybe, if everyone lived their life without the need to show off or feel among, you might find that some of the things we struggle to buy, we won't need to get them. Life is in stages. And when the real time comes for you to be able to afford those expensive, unnecessary things without struggle, without using credit card or loan, without giving a false appearance that you are rich when you are actually deceiving yourself and everyone else around you, then you should buy them, not living a fake life. Don't get caught up in showing off. Focus on your goals and ignore the noise.
True.
Word.
The word indeed.
There's so much noise. Focus on your goals. Remember, there is time for everything. I really hope you can all build something tangible as immigrants in any country you find yourself. If you found this video inspiring, please smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's meet in the comment section. I really want us to discuss what are your thoughts on what I just shared, and I'll see you in the next video.
This was an amazing, and when I say amazing, I mean amazing, and they are definitely mistakes that are made by millions of immigrants all over the world. It doesn't matter where you are. Like he said, there's just this thing for people when they move somewhere. It's like they have to boast and show off on the people that they left behind, and they're struggling where they're at. I can never ever wrap my mind around that. Nobody know my business. As far as I know, I'm living on the street. No, I'm not laughing. I'm baffled. I'm so baffled by the fact that people have something to prove to somebody back home. They floss. If you don't know what floss mean, I'm like, they dress up in the latest. They go out, they party, and they can't even find dinner for the next day. But people, because they have to make people back home feel as if they've made it, or you're not to make them feel inferior. And I don't get it. I can never ever understand why people continue to make these mistakes. And sometimes these people, family back home, are struggling. I'm not saying you need to take the burden of your family on your shoulder, but they can even send a $50 if a family must say, listen, I'm in a dire need to go to the hospital or do this or do that. While they see you on here having the latest, dressing in the latest, driving the latest, and don't even know that everything is on credit card, and you're struggling and you're about to lose everything just for show. I've seen it so many times. I've seen people become a laughing stock when people actually find out that what they are showing is not the reality of what is going on in their life, but it's just for show. That's crazy to me. That's diabolical. I do not. I will never understand it. I will never understand it, people. I don't know how people do it. How do they feel comfortable doing it? Don't be so loud. Don't be so loud to prove a point to Tom, Dick, and Harry. That makes no, or Nancy Drew, or whatever it is. That makes no sense to me. So the 7 worst mistake that he made when he moved to the UK, I am on board with them. He said, these are mistakes that people should definitely avoid. Because guess what? When you're an immigrant, man, you can make something of yourself when you go elsewhere. Think about these things and don't make these mistakes. I think you should leave an imprint or do something that is, you understand, to enrich your life, have long-term goals, short-term and long-term goals to enrich your life and to enrich, and for those who are around you, to uplift and make something of yourself when you move from one country to the next. It doesn't matter where in the world you go. That's how I see it. That, for me, right there, Solomon King was an amazing video. I hope you don't mind me using the video, but I saw it and I'm like, 4 years in the UK, 7 worst mistakes you've made so far and how to avoid them. And that title right there got me. And I said, you know what? Let me take a look at it. And it was worth every minute. With that said, I'm an island girl and I'm running out of here. Island girl is Jamaican girl living in Alaska. And yeah, I'm an immigrant myself. You understand me? And I get this. I can relate because I've seen it so many times, these mistakes that people make from left or right. And I'm like, Jesus. And him putting it out there, I hope this message gets to a lot of people. And him putting it out there, a lot of people don't even listen because they come tomorrow and they do the same thing. And I don't get it. I don't get it. They're not listening. You've been taught. You've been taught not to make these mistakes, and you still get up. Big grown people get up and make these mistakes every day. Young and old. With that said, be good, be kind, be safe out there, love each other. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, what you think about this. And like I said, go over and show him some love. Guys, the link will be in the description below. And if you wish to support this channel in another way, there's a thank you button on the channel. Not only that, you can also become a member. Once you click that join button, you see all the exclusive perks that are offered. Love you guys to the max. Let me know if you like me to check out more content like these. Your girl got you. Leave it. Let's chat it up in the comment section. Catch you guys in another video. I thought I heard Miss Araya. Love you guys. Bye.